and it worked. Okay, so I have to introduce you first, so don't, get ahead of it. Just a second. Here it is. Well, you have a short bio here, so it will be quick. Emmanuel Guardiola is our game design professor at the Cologne Game Lab, and he was 15 years in the video game industry, focusing on game design methodologies. And then he took up this professorship in 2015 at the Cologne Game Lab at TH Köln. He has a PhD in computer sciences, and he leads a lot of very fascinating research in impact games at the Cologne Game Lab. And yeah, now he's going to introduce to some of his more theoretical musings about what gameplay actually is. So looking forward to it. Emmanuel, the floor is yours, and let's give him a short welcome.
Thank you. So I will talk about something that we evoke several times here, gameplay, because in fact it is a part of my center of interest since a long time. So I start this. In fact, Dune was I like it because it's Dune now. There is a big thing around Dune. So it was the first game I worked on in 2000 that was released, and after that I contribute to the release of 30 other games for many platforms, many things. And even then, I had to modelize methodology of game design, and it became stronger when I arrived at the Cologne Game Lab, where it is currently my main focus, and in particular how this model that we extract from gameplay could be used in other fields, like in particular psychology. We mentioned the DiGRA project. DiGRA project is a huge European funded project where we offer several solutions to fight domestic violence, and the little screenshot you see on the bottom right is an extract of a discussion we have with a victim, and this is really the way we try to train social worker and police officers to be in contact with victims. So, and today I try to offer a special perspective on gameplay and all this reflection I have. There is no universal rules about that. This is, I think, a few characteristics, a characteristic that is shared by many games. And I know that games are made of many things: contemplation, interaction, many things. There are even games without interaction at all, but remain gameplay. So that all the combinations are currently possible. So, and there are three components in this reflection. The first is gameplay itself. Not really a game, not really play, somehow game being played. But when you make the compilation of people trying to say gameplay, and we did that compilation and analyze it, people are talking about player being active and player's action, whatever are these actions. Could be cognitive or just reflex, whatever is this action, but player's action engage in an uncertain challenge. The second component, it's we face it when you read about game design and gameplay. You have this thing that is the uncertainty that is like everywhere. It's inevitable. And here there are 3% that influence me a lot. Jacques Henriot, on the top of the list, and he had this thought about the space of play and uncertainty, that the gear thing where something is playing between the gears, and this little space we name it play, because there is this space of possibility and unpredictability. And also this is a little image from Koster's book, A Theory of Fun for Game Design. That's a very good thing, maybe some other thing discutable, but really a good book globally. And he gave this example of tic-tac-toe that maybe we play for a while, but when we understood the optimal solution, the optimal play, it's not a play anymore. So that's a well-known example of the end of uncertainty and then the end of play. And the third component, I'm into systems a long time, and I was interested in that even before coming in the game industry. And I was fascinated by James Lovelock's works. Certainly the first person who explained that the life is a sustainable system as a total, and now we hear more about these theories, but back in the 80s it was not as this spread, let's say. Herbert Simmons, who is a specialist of complex systems, you might heard maybe about him. And so there were this idea of cybernetic complex system, also the notion of individuation, when you recognize, I think it's more from social science than complex system initially, but it's how you recognize and self-sustainable system somewhere, even very conceptually. and then the concept of homeostasis, like something that is sustain itself. So let's talk a bit about the time and safe and space of play. And I arbitrarily say, okay, we have somehow the start of a play. When I say a play, it could be a match, a quest, just a fight, or this moment you are engaged into play. So there is a start for this play. This is the moment, like Mario Kart, you start to play. Then you have some kind of time. Could be discrete, could be continuous. You have this time going, like you are playing. But it's not all. You also have the space. And as I mentioned before, this space is for unpredictable possibilities. It's void at some point, but also a lot of things will rise from that. And just like here, this kid playing Mario Kart, trying to do things, have all this action to overcome challenge, and unpredictable things can come from the game itself. So we have this space where things occurs, and when it ends, I mean, that's a question. Kostekian talk about it a bit in his book Uncertainty, where the end of play of a play or a match, sometimes it's clear. A race, World of Warcraft or Dungeons and Dragons, more complicated to say where is the end. But you can argue that this quest, this mission in the game is something, this campaign on Dungeons and Dragons, there is an end here. But you can also accept that there is no end in a strict way or in a way like the end of a race. For our purpose today, I decide arbitrarily to say that there is an end to the play, or at least to this play. And I even give a value to this end. You can either be defeated or you can win the game, and maybe there are things in the spectrum of it, just like position ranking into a Mario Kart race. You can be first, you can be 12th, and there is a lot of thing in between, like a spectrum of ending. And here is gameplay. And gameplay here, I really consider it in this perspective as like a cell, something that is moving in that space, and maybe some forces are acting in or out these little cells. They're trying to do its way in life, and try to keep itself alive. And so when we start, the gameplay start. We have players acting, doing thing, and this thing is start to travel in that space. Like, okay, I'm close to victory. I'm still first on the race, and then some card passed me. So I take the position of being defeated progressively, and then you see that this gameplay bubble or cell is influences. You see this moving all along the time of the play, moving here, up, here, down, and between defeat and victory and all the thing in between. So there are obviously forces that are acting here, until the point where the game ends, depending on certain condition, victory or failure condition, and then you get to a position on that side, and it often ends like this, like a very brutal thing, that just like if something is missing at one point and poof, it's at the end of the game. And because here, just like the finish, and in this case, perfect, you are first, it's an absolute victory in your race. And so we saw that there are maybe forces that are acting more or less on this little cell, and if we only have one force in one direction, obviously it's not an interesting game. In fact, it's close to the tic-tac-toe example, saying, okay, if one force is pushing too much in the victory side, from the beginning you know that you're winning, not super interesting. If, at the contrary, there is a force that pushes you to defeat, from the beginning you lose. I mean, not an interesting thing. We need this kind of thing, to be interested in what we do. And then we have this gameplay here, and obviously this thing tries to remain in the middle. There is a a system here that tries to be there somewhere in that space, not in the extremity, just in the middle as strong as possible. And if we go inside this little bubble that is in the middle of the voice, this ocean of unpredictability, we can try to look inside this little cell. And there is a key resource, the one that we mentioned before, uncertainty. It's here. We can maybe evaluate the volume of uncertainty. Maybe it change depending on the force that are acting on it, and it could reduce, increase, and we can find we can name the force maybe that are acting in it and inside of this system. So one of the first obvious one is player and player's actions. The player, in fact, doesn't want uncertainty. The player, let's say in a generic case, again, I do not make universal rules, but characteristic of a majority of play experience. The player tries to win, so it means that it tries to, or she tries to reduce the uncertainty and even kill the uncertainty, consume all to win. And so we have that, and we can say that on the other hand, we have this game system which we try to avoid that. It's not like trying to defeat the player, but just keep the system sustainable. So counter the player effect. And so here we may have some kind of binary system, player versus game system, and one going in a direction, the other going in another. That's not exactly as binary. It's a bit more complex than that, because so here first we can interpret that as a perfect state of homeostasis, like the cell that maintains its life and this proportion and the thing inside. But I think maybe you had already some example in mind where the system is not trying to make the player lose or be defeated. And this is an example from Mario Kart, where if you are the last for the one who play Mario Kart, you know that if you are the last in the list, when you take a bonus, you have high chance to get this rocket, this bullet, because this is the game is offering you a way to get back in the track. So the game here don't want you to lose. The game try to keep you into the uncertainty state, or at least improve your chance comparing to the position you actually have. And there are other examples like this, like if some of you play Left 4 Dead, the second one in particular, you have an embed system in that game that is here to maintain the pace and the fact that the game is exciting. They push you to the point where you are close to dead and fail. And it's managed. There is an embedded director that calculates an indicator of survival based on your health pack, the ammunition you have, how many people are on the ground, and all these things. And from that, adapt the amount of enemies they spawn for you. If you play Left 4 Dead 2, you may find that it's incredible how close to death you are in each match, because it's wanted by the game system on the fly. So it's just to say that it's not binary. And you can also have players who don't try to win absolutely. Maybe they want to win with a certain thing, killing people in a certain way in that game. I don't know. And that is maybe not the best option to keep uncertainty or to fight uncertainty in the game, you know. So, and at the end of the game, at one point, finally, uncertainty disappears. And then it's the complete collapse. Just like we can imagine life could collapse on Earth when something is missing, or in a cell. I mean, our cells die. You know, it's that way. Somehow one of the key variable in it, and then we have a quick and catastrophic end of gameplay. It's no gameplay anymore. Just gameplay died at that point. So bye-bye the little cell. And in that case, even if it's victory, I mean, as a designer, or with this perspective, I'm a bit sad to see that. And the final point is that it's in game design, when we are talking about gameplay, this is what we design. There are elements like, okay, systems, just like the AR system that is managing an enemy or a non-playable character in this universe, or the way behave a certain interactive element or non-interactive element like light and day, and how this could impact on your gameplay if you are in an infiltration game, for instance, or also just like the narration and the quest and the system that is driving that, all these variables that are important into winning or losing, all these are little elements, but they all serve the purpose of having this thing alive as long as possible, not as long as possible, as interesting as possible in the course to the end of the play. So I leave it on that image because that's what I wanted to communicate today and to talk about. And it's why also I add this subtitle to the lecture at the beginning to say this is the doom homeostasis of gameplay. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Emmanuel, for that. Very thought-provoking talk. What are your questions and comments? Raise your hand. Oh, can you come a little bit to the front? Sorry, the reaction is just about the length of the cable and coming through here, but not,
Hello, thanks for that. It was really interesting. I think I'm slightly influenced by the fact we just came from a walking simulator talk into a talk about gameplay with a scale of win to defeat and stuff. And it feels to me like what's happening inside the bubble, as you say, is to do with internal and external factors. But would you say that the kind of gradation at the end of win to defeat, would you say that's more about external factors and about external reward, or would you say it also includes internal reward and internal motivation?
To be sure to understand, you ask if things like motivation and element of motivation are part of the system inside of the cell itself. I didn't talk about it. I mean, this is a recent way to that, but that's an actual question. If I have to guess, I would say this is behind some of the player action. So if we have to embody all player action, we should also embody inside of it what is generating it. So all the thought and the willingness of the player to act in a certain way, or even just react and being what he or can he be with all the sensory motor or everything should be there. I mean, that's player. Or we can have the perspective of say, oh no, it's just the consequences of player action that are in this conceptual little loop. I think both perspective works right now. I didn't pursue that further because that's the state of my thought about it. Thank you.
Thanks. We have time for one or two more, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know how relevant this is, but you use this like a triangular shape as a diagram for like start of the game and then end of the game state. Why did you do that? Like, what did?
That's an interesting question because when I created the model of it, I had the exact same question after. And to be honest, as it's the first presentation I do with that, I did it after preparing all the slides with that triangle, and at the end of that, I say, why did I choose a triangle? Because in fact, from the beginning, it could be like a square. Yeah. There is all this space, or have an accolade, with all the beginning very fast in the thing. So that's an actual question, and I think I would have. I need to modify that space.
All right, very interesting. Any other questions or comments? Yeah.
In terms of the triangles, Brenda Laurel uses in computerized theater triangles, which are starting from the opposite with all the possibilities and to an end, which is your point. But she talks about the necessity creates and eliminates some of the options we have throughout the play. And I actually like the triangle because in your way it starts with limited options as a player. It grows, but then maybe instead of a line, it could be another triangle, which leads to an ending because of the rules of necessity in gameplay. Just a comment.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true, and it's why I guess triangle is not maybe the best option, because until the end you have a when gameplay is well structured, until the end you should have a lot of options that might transfer the defeat to something. So I would say that if the game is going like this, we will be one of the situations like not interesting. Okay, that we are taking the path of a unique ending, and it's clear from the beginning. So I would say, but I get the point of the triangle with an end that is a limitation of possibility. But here I think I was most interested into this representation of void, of space, where we are moving. And I didn't do it backward to keep like that the time or the sequence. It could be turn or real time. I mean, we don't care. It could be even just a number to reach. And but yeah, I was interested by keeping it as a space globally. So I naively make a growing space at the beginning. So I have to think about it. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's more appropriate here for the purpose of the explanation of this particular perspective on gameplay.
Okay, thank you very much. That's our time, and so we're moving on to our lunch break. But first of all, let's thank Emmanuel again for his presentation. Like I said before, to try to keep time in the second half because we have to leave the room at a particular time. We'll continue at 2:30. But now you're free to go, roam around the festival, go have something to eat, and we'll see you back here then. And then hopefully you'll be all back because you really, need some more of this. And everyone online as well. 2:30 UK time in case you're not in the UK. And the speakers that are speaking on the second half.